broken system chained and tangled up in lies. Voices shouting, screaming in defeat. Politicians playing games under darkened skies. Hope lost in the dust of the street. Red and blue colors pouring from the sky. Debates turn to anger, the crowd gets loud. Punches flying in the blink of an eye. Truth buried deep beneath the shroud. Welcome to the bullpen, where we don't survive. These broken dreams we defend, trying to keep alive. Faces on the screen, flashing perfect teeth. But behind those eyes, just rotting greed. Politicians turn to whispers beneath. They all just get what they need. Whispering conspiracies, drowning in their lies. Echoes of freedom, lost in cries. Spin the wheel of fate, let's see who rise. But this game will bleed you dry. Welcome to the bullpen, where we don't survive. These broken dreams we defend, trying to keep alive. Welcome to the bullpen, where the weak don't survive. These broken dreams we defend, trying to keep alive.
All right.
It's Super Bowl Sunday, and the bullpen is still here to break down what's been going on in politics this week, which has been a lot. With me, as always, is my co-host, Little Chad. How are you doing this morning?
Doing well. Enjoying all this winning. I might have to go to a doctor because the winnings lasted more than 2 weeks and I don't know
Yeah,
what to do myself.
if it's lasting more than 4 hours, you got to go see somebody about
I
it,
mean,
right?
typical Republican administrations, 4 hours over 4 years is what you get.
Typically.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
the,
Well,
the,
go
I
ahead.
don't know. I was like, I don't know what the right answer is for. I think was it Freedom Tunes
Yeah.
showed like where do you regret voting for Trump now? Well, after here all the stuff he's done in 2 weeks, I really regret all the previous Republicans I voted for.
Right.
It's just, God,
Slender saying you're a little bit low. Did you
I
check
forgot to
Windows
check the
settings?
Microsoft. Yep, let me check because I bet it did.
So while you're doing that, we'll say hi to everybody in the chat. Looks like we got Josh Hammond, Davina, Slender, Boosh, Goj, Bad Take Boj, Nick the Greek. I think I saw somebody else in there. Eric Myers. And so crates goat.
Yep. All right, I think all right, so this should be
Lindsay the
better.
Cynical Geek. Yep, you sound louder now.
Yeah, Windows had done its
Ayev
thing.
and Lily.
Windows was being a schmuck again. I think Project 2025 needs to get Windows to stop changing my mic settings.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. Wait till they force everybody over to Windows 11, where that update is apparently breaking everybody's audio. So, where do you want to start? I know you're very upset with a certain ruling from a certain judge.
It is the most ass backwards ruling I've ever seen. Let me. I've got. We'll go. We'll go Inception with my.
Yeah, this
With
this was a Chad research week.
Yeah. So this is Elon's tweet responding to Glenn Beck's tweet responding to another guy's tweet. So we'll eventually get to the law, but it's we'll work backwards, which is Elon talking about a corrupt judge protecting corruption who should be impeached. That was in response to Glenn Beck summarizing. Let me see if I have this right. The Treasury Secretary cannot access any data from the Treasury. So
Yeah,
that
that makes
was
sense.
this ruling.
Sound reasoning.
And this was completely, by the way, this was judge shopping because this dude was the emergency judge on a Friday night. He's not the actually guy assigned to the case. So Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, waited until Friday night so that this guy would be the one covering the emergency
The
docket.
emergency. Yeah.
And he didn't even let the administration have an arguer. Like there was nobody present from the Department of Justice or representing the administration to argue their side. It was just the Democrat attorney generals from the 15 states that were doing this emergency filing. And in his ruling, he determined that the only people who are allowed to access data in the Treasury are the permanent civil servants.
Yeah.
No political appointees.
The deep state bureaucracy. That's who should be in charge.
Bear in mind, these cabinet departments exist, and every permanent civil servant employee is hired to service the job of the secretary. Meaning, in theory, going back to day one, these cabinets were just one dude doing things. And then they bring on people as needed to help facilitate doing their job. The Treasury, under his decision, the Treasury Secretary, an appointed position, Senate confirmed, can't have access to the data the Department of the Treasury contains.
Yep.
It's so mind-bogglingly stupid. it's gonna get overturned like as soon as it gets to a real set of judges. But obviously the point is to delay
and slow down. Yeah.
Because they want to keep. I mean, it makes you wonder what they're so worried about, because Elon and DOGE were really just going to basically do the audit. This idea that they're pulling people's socials because Elon is going to steal their money is so stupid.
Yes, because the richest man in the world needs to steal your money. No, the point is the government is the one stealing your money.
So
and
this is
spending it on BS.
Yeah. Let me see if I think I'm going to go to Elon's Twitter here because I'm going to find it in addition to all the other stuff that he's been posting about. There was an interesting
your
thing
feed
where
better be safe for scrolling.
This is Elon's feed, so
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah. This was another good. We found out that Samantha Powers, from when she started as the USAID administrator, went from a net worth of 6.7 million to, when she left, $30 million, and her salary was $180,000 per year.
So just like every congressman.
Yeah. Where, because he had, all right. I'm gonna get.
Did you watch John Kennedy's 30-minute speech yesterday?
Yeah,
that was funny. He has a way with words, a very Southern way with words.
All right. Well, what the point Elon was making, and he put it out there, is he met with people at the Treasury, and they were like, "How much do you waste? How much are we paying to people with no social security number and no proof of citizenship? Like, people we know are not permanent residents or having a social security number. 100 billion a year." And
and he found out that in their system, you can have duplicates of the social security numbers. So you could be doing two different things to the same social security number with a different name attached.
Yeah, and then here's the even better part. So he goes 100 billion. How much of that do we know is fraud, and they're like 50 billion.
It
just hangs there. Like, and are we doing anything to stop it? No.
We produce a report every year on how much wasteful spending we have, but we're not going to actually do anything about it or tell anybody what it is actually going to.
All right, so this is our this leads into another. This is Margaret, our new favorite person. Frankly, Margaret, I don't care. We've got her now interviewing a USAID employee
who they are
keeping anonymous because of how upset she is. So listen to what this is, the original CBS recording.
Anonymous.
It has been a very hard week.
Okay, so that's the original. We're going to play the whole thing because all they did was adjust her pitch, and they didn't do any scrambling or encrypting because a very enterprising individual played around with the settings.
In our conversation,
and here it comes. Here's her normal voice.
It has been a very hard week. Personally, professionally, as I said,
it's been very hard. But we're listen to this. The cope.
Me.
Listen to how pissed, upset she is that they're finally questioning the grift at USAID.
Like the guy that went into the meeting and was throwing a fit.
Many of my colleagues work in this field. Starting from January 21st, so the first day of the new administration, things started to go sideways very quickly. The atmosphere of fear that was in the USAID building, which we're no longer in, the atmosphere of fear in terms of not knowing who was in the building.
By the way, yes, they are no longer in that building. Trump's administration ripped the sign down within 24 hours, and I believe Customs and Border Patrol got some more office space.
Imagine being that afraid of Elon Musk and big balls being in the building with you. It's funny.
I was like, I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? Big Balls is looking for me.
He's looking through my files.
Not knowing what their motivations were, not knowing if our emails or channels were safe.
Not knowing if our emails and channels were safe. So let me reinforce that. This is a government employee working in a government facility using a government email, worried that somebody in the administration that was elected by the American people might see what she was sending in emails or Teams channels.
Yep.
And you know what? I used to wonder, why, what could be so bad? And then I saw FBI upper level people texting about how they were going to take down a president. And I realized, yeah, these guys are stupid enough to just put everything on government.
We all recall Peter Strzok and his mistress.
Those were FBI phones, subject at any time to being pulled for FBI record and searches. And they were putting in there, don't worry, we've got insurance, we're going to take them out. And they think, and they sued, and the Biden administration settled and paid them for having their privacy violated. Which,
not knowing how to interpret these executive orders, right, around DEIA or administration priorities. All of that created an atmosphere of massive insecurity. And so people have, I think, lost the ability to know what's true from what's not at this point. Everyone is really scared. And so, I have a daughter. I have a family like most Americans. And
the only thing that could have made this clip better if she went off on her daughter's reproductive rights to really just check all the boxes.
Just to hammer it in. Yeah.
I want to be brave. I think it's really important to share our personal stories at this time, but I am afraid, and I just don't want to put them at any more risk than I have to.
When you say doxed, there's fear of public.
Because that was all they. I just love that all they had to do was adjust the pitch back.
Well, I mean, at this point, DOGE members,
Big Balls is going to dox me,
have access to not just the data within the USAID world, right, and the USAID system, which includes my personal email address, my social security number.
FYI, every government employee who had a clearance, everyone and Slender, who my co-host on the Senate Art can confirm this, had everything already doxed. Like China had it. It got hacked. OPM, the Office of Personnel Management for the federal government, acknowledged that they were hacked and 23 million people's complete data files were stolen. And so they gave people 12 months of, identity theft insurance.
Yeah.
So the idea over here that she's pissed off and worried because these people who are auditing payments would have access to her information. It's this information is the Treasury Department had a computer that was hardwired over to China that a guy is being currently prosecuted for doing. He was an undersecretary of the Treasury, and he had one of the secure computers directly feeding to China so they could get access to everything.
Yep.
And did you hear the Democrats once?
That's not an issue. But the fact that Elon Musk might have seen somebody's social security number and doesn't even know who the hell they are is the end of the world. And even Elon has come out and been like, I don't have any access to any of that.
No, the funny thing for Elon is it would be cheaper and take less time for him to get all these government employees' information off the dark web for some Bitcoin than what he's doing now to actually try to help cut spending in the United States. Because all that information, they found it. There's terabytes of data on the dark web where if you just pay the guy, you'll get the entire thing. All of it.
It's just one big file.
Yep.
My entire security file. In that security file is every contact I've ever known, every country I've traveled to, every home address I've had. So,
should I say the same thing they said to the January 6 people? If you didn't do anything, you shouldn't worry about it.
What are you worried about?
What are you worried about? Are you saying that a mobilized federal government could manufacture crimes to go after people
for being escorted through a building by police?
Yeah.
No matter which way I look at it, my information is entirely compromised, and it's in hands that I don't know and don't trust.
You know what,
so
Margaret
we
Hoover?
Trust the government, but not Elon, not private citizens that have been appointed to do a job.
But do you know what Margaret Hoover never asked this entire interview?
What's that?
What do you do at USAID, and why was it worth spending on?
Yeah.
Not once.
And yes, the government can be slow. It can be inefficient. It can cost taxpayers money. I do not doubt that at all.
Because I did it.
What is
because I was writing the checks.
Is that the methods being used to achieve this so-called efficiency, not only do they not seem to be vetted and approved by the President of the United States,
which this is incorrect. Trump is 100%
exactly what he said he was going to do.
He has signed off on this publicly when he was running. Since the DOGE crew and big balls have shown up, he's signed off on them again publicly, including bringing big balls back.
Yeah, after being canceled.
Yep.
Or our Secretary Marco Rubio, they're entirely the actions of a rogue few individuals. They're dangerous, they're illegal,
So this is the new talking point attacking DOGE. They're trying to focus in that somehow Elon and his engineer boys are not vetted, not what they're doing is illegal because they're not real government employees. This is the vector of attack. I don't think it works, but you'll notice that
and
this
Elon's
is
had top secret security clearance for a decade, if not more.
Yeah, but this is, you can see this is being mirrored in the language used by the Democratic officials when they go out in front of the buildings. So
and call for an insurrection.
Yeah. I don't know what the poll testing is on it, because it doesn't seem to be, their best message. I guess maybe it's the best of the bad messages they have.
They're too busy trying to keep up with everything else. I mean,
Cruel.
Like the thumbnail shows, it's just a fire hose has been opened from the Trump administration.
And
they can't figure out which place to try to fight back.
What's hilarious is that in all the stuff that came through, no one's even arguing about him firing the entire Kennedy Center board and making himself the chairman.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Or the paper straws thing, which is, by the way, I saw a lot of jokes on X where people were like, if anything's going to get Trump a third term where we'll amend the Constitution, it's bringing back plastic straws because paper straws are gay and don't work.
And they taste bad.
More than anything. And so, no, I don't think this is serving American interests or answering to the president's mandate. And so to have this sort of...
Yeah, so what was USAID doing to serve Americans' interest? I mean,
they weren't.
Did we really need a Sesame Street for Iraq or Afghanistan, wherever the hell it was?
Won't you take me down to Jihad Street? What did they teach in Iraqi Sesame Street? Like, it's like, here's
then
the
corners. You connect the red wire here.
I know what Yi would be putting on Iraqi Sesame Street, but I don't know if we would be happy with the messaging. Yeah. So I think this girl is just kind of a toast. Now, all of that being said, with all their bitching and complaining, new CBS poll, CBS, the same network that was just doing that interview, has Trump's approval rating at 53%.
Yeah.
Here you go.
And everybody is ecstatic that he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. And he hit the ground running doing it.
Here we go. So poor Margaret had to do that interview, and then after they cut from the interview, do this segment.
Our CBS poll finds that a majority of Americans, 53%, approve of the job he's doing. That's a better approval number than he ever reached during his first term in the White House.
Possible?
Joining us with more is our Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. Good to see you, Anthony. What's driving this?
I will keep it simple, Margaret. He's doing, in the eyes of the public, what he said he would do in the campaign. There's political value in
70% are happy because he's doing what he promised in the campaign.
Yep.
Well, actually, I shouldn't say.
Or at least admit that he's doing what he promised.
That means like even Democrats who are unhappy are like, he campaigned on it. Yeah. He's just doing what he said he'd do.
They are who we thought they were.
Yeah, Bush, I don't believe any of your approval ratings. That's how bad. Like, the approval of Trump on his policies and what he's doing are so high, they can't even rig it to make it a negative anymore. Because now that people are so used to going into crosstabs and looking at the actual bottom line data, they'll get caught so obviously that they won't do it. Bear in mind, CBS is already now in per an amended paperwork from Trump, $20 billion lawsuit with Trump in his campaign. Because after the unedited CBS interview footage came out, Trump went back and he amended his lawsuit to go from 10 billion to 20 billion.
Oops.
So I'm pretty sure a contribution to the Trump presidential library from the CBS network will be inbound soon.
Yeah, he's going to take them for everything that he can, because at this point, I mean, all they've done is proven how in the bag they were for the Democrat Party. And I mean, basically all we're seeing is that all of the left-wing media at every level has been funded by the federal government with our tax dollars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to rearrange the screen real quick.
Yep. No, perfect. Take your stuff, because we do have where they go into a couple of the policies, which are also worth looking at.
And that, in fact, 70% of people say he's doing what he promised. That's whether they approve of him or not. Now, there's another part of this that continues over from the campaign. There were words that he was described as being tough, being energetic, and he still is.
Did you see? I love the disdain on Margaret's face every time this stuff is coming up.
Yeah, she's pretty insufferable.
I want JD Vance to go on and be interviewed by her every week now.
Every single week. It'd be great.
Well, what do you want to talk about this week? Big majority numbers. So as people take a look in these first few weeks, there's been a lot of activity. They're getting that general sense of governance, and that's being reflected in these early numbers.
So that's perception. What about the actual policies?
Well, let's start with the ones that are.
So this is even more bothersome to them.
Popular. And again, these echo a lot of what we saw in the campaign. The idea of deporting those in the country illegally continues to be popular. We saw
That is not piss them off to have to say the word illegally.
Yeah, and this is not the question. Is not framed people who have committed crimes.
No, it's terrorists. Just anybody who's here illegally.
The question of deporting everybody who's here illegally is polling 59-41, and we've already seen the press try to break out the people crying. Oh no, they're breaking up our family, and the public is done with it. They broke them in the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. Any sympathy they had for maybe these average people who are here is gone, and this is now a 60-40 issue, even in a CBS poll.
Yep.
I've seen some other polls, like I think YouGov and some other ones had this in the upper 70s. So it's the range of approval for him deporting everybody illegally is going from the low end of 59-60 all the way up to the upper 70s. It's like there's Scott Jennings on CNN doing his panels this week when he was talking. He did a point where he said Trump's superpower is making Democrats take the 20 position on an 80-20 issue. Like
over and over and over.
Yeah, where 80% of the public is here. And because Trump starts doing it, the Democrats stake out that like, well, we're here for the 20%.
Yep.
So 60%
saw that in the campaign.
Deporting
sending
everybody.
Troops to the U.S.-Mexico border.
Even more popular.
And forcing Mexico and Canada to do the same.
Yep.
Again, majority in favor. We'd seen that in the campaign. For his supporters in particular, the focus on ending DEI is popular. We had seen in the campaign, a lot of them thought those processes had gone too far.
So this is the promises made, promises kept portion of normally it's not 2 weeks to do this.
Right. Normally it takes to 4 years. You may
Our CBS
do something
poll
on
finds
the way
that a
out.
Okay. Oh, all right. Here's the part where I found the Elon tweet.
Chad's so excited this week.
I've got so much. There's so much stuff.
Like,
it's great.
He actually sounds like he's got a little bit of emotion in his voice.
Here we go.
Can you blow it up a little bit, or?
Let's see. Is that better? I can keep.
It's
going.
A little bit better. Maybe a little bit more. There you go.
All right. So what DOGE was trying to do, what they wanted was require all outgoing payments have a payment categorization code
that they were just leaving blank.
That they left blank. They were also supposed to include a rationale for the payment. So what this is called is GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Procedures. As a private business, if the IRS came in to audit you and you didn't have this information in your books, you would fail the audit and you would get fined a lot. They would destroy you.
Yeah. I mean, kind of like Trump did have things coded in his books and they still took him to court for it.
Yeah, so there's supposed to be a do not pay list for entities known to be fraudulent or people who are dead or probable fronts for terrorist organizations or don't match. They didn't have that.
The fact that you have to outline that is do not pay these types of people, dead people and leaders of terrorist organizations is kind of a problem in and of itself.
It takes apparently up to a year to get someone put on that list. And while they're being put on the list, payments will continue.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the part. Yesterday, I was told there are currently over $100 billion a year of entitlement payments to individuals with no Social Security or even a temporary ID number. Bear in mind, Social Security started in the 1930s. There should be nobody
running around
that doesn't have a Social Security number. Here you go. When asked if anyone at the Treasury had a guess on what percentage of that number is unequivocal, obvious fraud, the consensus in the room was about half. So $50 billion a year or $1 billion a week is known fraud, and they're just like, whatevs.
It works. And yes, DOGE, they don't have a mechanism to identify duplicates.
Now, speaking
you can't even just sort and look at the duplications and be like, oh, yeah, shouldn't do that.
This is what the DOGE guys were going to be doing that was blocked by the judge. They were going to add in some slightly modern sorting mechanisms to check for these things.
Yeah, just basic things that everybody should be doing. I mean, it's balancing a freaking checkbook. But they don't think it should ever balance because they'll just print whatever they don't have.
Speaking of balancing a checkbook, did you know that Brahma's channel is monetized and does allow for super chats, super stickers, tips, memberships, all those good things that will make it more complicated for Brahma to balance? Let's make sure that Brahma gets enough monetization money that he has to bring in the DOGE boys to audit his books. So you guys can help out with that anytime.
Chad doing the Daily Wire ad read in the middle of the episode.
I mean, look, I'm not as bad as Jeremy Boring, but who is confiscating people's TikTok accounts right before they start their new, podcast,
their new YouTube channel.
Yeah, and doing AI generated razor commercials. I'm starting to think
AI generated.
I'm thinking Jeremy Boring might be the major problem over there. Just saying.
Could be.
People seem to keep leaving.
Well, I mean, the one left because she went crazy. Brett, who knows what's going on there? I think they had her on a deal that was very much in their favor, and now that she was coming up for a new contract and she's blown up as big as she has, they didn't want to pay her the same amount that they would be paying some of the other guys, because you're going to make Brett Cooper more paid than Walsh, Knowles, or Shapiro. She's bringing in more numbers.
I mean, if it's meritocracy. Oh, yeah. Look, it looks like we got a new member.
We do. Boosh McFadden became a member, and we're going to be showing. Boosh sent me just a pile of political memes, so we'll be showing a few of those today.
This is one of my favorites from this week. Is
thank you, Boosh.
Elon taking Twitter into efficiency and coming out slender, cute X, and then looking at big old fat federal government. Like, I know what's going to happen to you.
Yep.
There was a lot of people for a lot of years said, and I didn't believe it, that if you just cut waste, fraud, and abuse, that you could probably balance the budget.
Right.
And I was like, no, I mean, it's bad, but it's not 1.9 trillion a year. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, it is that bad. And it's literally the same thing like in your household. How many things have you subscribed to and then forgotten that you subscribed to them, and it's just continuing to pay out a check every single month?
This is crazy because one of the proposals I've seen, Smokey, I am excited.
Yeah. Smokey for 10 New Zealand dollars. Never heard Chad so excited before.
Yeah.
Neither have I.
It's
even on election night, I don't think he was this excited.
Well, I expected it though, because for months I had told you I think you were on the same page too.
Yeah, our show had basically called the election exactly the way it went.
I expect the election night I would have been more excited about would have actually been 2016, that election night, because
that one would have been fun to be.
I figured Trump had a shot at winning, but I was worried, and then nope, he just rolled it. So that one was the one where it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Josh, this one an inappropriate question.
Yeah, but is it right?
I reserve it for politics.
So Trump is setting DOGE on the Department of Education next week. So he's already made that announcement. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
and
I think it's education
called for them to start the Pentagon.
Yeah, we got education and DOD lined up, and I know Hegseth is the kind of guy who's actually going to be happy. They're also working with Duffy over at Transportation to work on modernizing the air traffic control system, which apparently is still using like high-end 1980s Linux-looking displays.
Yeah, as long as they keep it unhackable in some way. That's all I really care about on that one. I mean, because it's worked this long. The thing is, I think it's probably taking more to train new people that are coming in to work on these older systems that they're not used to dealing with. And you're losing all the people who kind of grew up with those systems. So you're going to have a whole bunch of people who are inefficient at it.
I remember
they have to learn basically like a mainframe system.
When I was in college, the programming language that was taught in the computer science programming class I took was Ada machine code.
Mm-hmm.
And that was even old then, because at that point C++ was kind of like the new hotness that everybody was using. Bear in mind, this is how old I am. Yes, I know C++ been around a long time. But when I took that class, even the professor was like, Ada is a really old machine code that nobody uses. And I was like, well, somebody's still got to be using it if you're teaching. And he's like, only air traffic control, but that should be gone in a couple of years. I think it's still using Ada machine code.
Probably.
Yep. So.
And looks like Eric K has gifted 5 Brahma Bowl memberships. Thank you very much, Eric K. Keeping the membership rolls alive every week. And it looks like as far as people who received them, Eric K got one himself, and Randall, and Pinochet, TZ Burton, and David P. Thank you very much, sir.
Nice. Thank you. Supporting the team. That's good.
Showing a few of the memes that Bush has been collecting. The first time in 4 years that a president didn't assault a preteen.
Yeah, Trump would have, Biden would have been like sniffing so hard. If he had a cold on a day of that kind of signing ceremony, he might have, self-deleted.
Yeah, I did like this one. Blue states, I can't swallow that. Good news. It's a suppository.
I know we are I think Bondi's filing some lawsuits already against some of the sanctuary city people.
Yeah. You want to bring yours back in?
All right, let me pull up. Let me get back to the. I went to all the bookmarks, not just the bullpen. All right. This was one of my favorite clips. All right, I'll bring it back and get it set. All right. This is some of the performative Democrats going to the U.S. No, to this time it was, I think it was was this one Department of Education, or was it USAID?
Do they know that we are here?
US Education.
Ask the question again.
Is it education?
Yeah.
Were you told, are you making this decision to stand in front of the store on your own behalf?
Maybe turn it down a smidge.
I forgot. This is like Fox News, so it actually has good audio.
Yeah.
All right, but look at this poor dude who's just like taking it.
On behalf of the Department of Education, or were you told to come out here and block members of Congress from going to the desk?
Doing my job.
Just doing my job.
What is that? We're doing our jobs. We're trying to save your job.
So this is probably also one of those mythical civil servants that we're supposed to give all the deference to. I don't think it's a regular DOGE guy going out and blocking the door.
It could be part of Elon security, because he doesn't have Secret Service, so he's probably running with it.
Oh, so that's why no one shot at him.
Yeah.
I did think
he's safe because he's got private security.
Trump also ordered this week that all of the information on the shooters that the Secret Service has be shared with him and his team, so they could make public. And because what he's like, why do they have all these phones? Why are all these foreign apps on there? He wants the information. That was another funny executive order.
Yeah. Why were they communicating in encrypted discussions with terrorist countries?
I liked
countries with terrorist ties.
Gojira over here. I've worked in a call center. I feel this man's pain.
Yeah.
Show him your ID.
I think when does Maxine Waters get in the shot? That's where
I already heard her voice.
Yes.
To federal buildings.
We're allowed in there.
So a private security contractor.
You know who members of Congress are?
See, he is private security contractor.
All right, well, that explains his commitment to actually doing a job. There we go.
And really not giving a crap.
Yep.
A private security contractor.
is making the decision to block members of Congress from a public access entrance.
I don't think he knows.
You have the authority as a private security contractor to block members of Congress. That's
It's not a question of does he have the authority. It's are they willing to do anything right now? Because he's not doing much but standing there.
So this is where this might be one of the best examples of real world politics versus mythical politics. If you're a realist, you understand that authority, force, and your ability to hold ground are pretty much what gives you power over a zone. If you're one of these touchy-feely NGO type guys, you're like, well, if we win their hearts and minds, if we just talk to them and send, like, if we shame them, they'll just move out of the way.
Yeah. Facts and feelings.
If you wanted the best example of why USAID doesn't really do anything, it's right here. Because for all that USAID does or says they do, one dude as a representation of guys who want to just take control of a zone will just go in there and do what they want. I'm pretty sure USAID was probably the organization sending food to Somalia when the warlords intercepted in the 90s and we had to send troops in there and Black Hawk Down happened and all that other stuff.
Right.
Because when USAID sends millions and millions of dollars to the Gaza Strip, Hamas intercepts it, takes control of whatever they're sending, and then distributes it as needed or sells it for themselves. Did USAID really help any American interest by doing that? No, they did not.
Did USAID actually buy 50 million in condoms? I don't believe so.
I mean, I heard one of the stories was that they actually used them to make like Molotov cocktail, like chemical bombs. Like, because apparently
condoms for it?
Yes, it's because they were a good, because it's good for filling up with like combustible liquid and then throwing it on fire.
So we're giving them
weapons materials.
Bombs.
Yes, I mean this is stuff that Hamas does. It's materials.
It's funny, not funny, but funny.
I just look at that sideways look. Like, really?
He's like, and who are you? Maxine Waters. So
my favorite version of this video, by the way, was the one where they digitally put in Ben Affleck looking upset, like that exasperated, right. Smoking Affleck. Just because it works so perfectly. Yeah. Oh, so terrible.
Eric K for $5 real quick. Best quote was from Pocahontas saying, "The American people do not have the right to know where taxpayer money is spent." Yeah. I am so sick of the attitude of Democrats and leftists that are just like, no, trust us. We will do what is best. All of your money that we just confiscate from you, we'll take care of it. We do it right. These are people who have no connection to the actual American people that run the government, and they're so useless and stupid. I mean, who says something like that? And why are the Democrats so freaking upset that we're uncovering bad spending? It's because it's all them. I mean, I'm sure there is quite a bit of it on the right too, because there was plenty of pork barrel projects and there's plenty of rhinos. But yeah, the whole screaming and gnashing of teeth and going completely insane about this, it's all coming from the left right now, which tells you they're the ones who are playing in the piggy bank.
Yeah, here, and I found here's the clip from Scott Jennings.
He's describing what is currently the dumbest strategy in politics, which is Democrats taking the 20% side of every 80-20 issue in America. USAID, people want this pared down. They want it streamlined. They want to know where the money is going. Democrats have a meltdown. Today, Donald Trump signs executive order on keeping boys out of girls' sports. Democrats take the 20 side of that issue as well. All these issues, this is like Trump's superpower, finding a bunch of 80-20 issues, getting on the 80, and everybody who's sort of reflexively against him gets on the 20. And now the Democratic Party has like a 31% approval rating. This is why. I don't know. He's describing.
This is why.
Melissa Farah's like, we don't do that on The View at all.
Cluck, 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 cluck. Bog, 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 View. Cluck.
Yeah.
Which, like, why are you on The View? I'm there to say I used to be a Republican, but I don't like them.
I don't agree with anything that they say. Oh, Eric.
Don't fall into the thirst trap, Eric.
She's on The View. That's Alyssa Farah.
Yep.
She can look good at times, but yeah. She's on The View.
Oh, let me get this one. This is what we call a cell phone. This is an arguing about DEI issues.
I do not have the same opportunity as you. I know I don't.
And you know
and
that
I know
too.
what, Scott?
And you know that.
Let me just tell you about me.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I want to answer this.
I'm not talking about how.
Did you see how excited Scott Jennings is to be ready to tear the whole? When you're done, I'm going to answer this.
But this is just like at the DNC chair elections when the black chick gets up there and it's like, I am a black woman speaking. Now you guys need to all pay attention to me. When a black woman speaks at a podium, you don't say anything. You just listen, because I'm going to tell you how it actually is.
I feel. Me, a black woman in this country.
But not in this city.
And I will run. And if you want
I'm a New Yorker, not in this city. You cannot say that. You can't say that in this city. I'm
not talking about New York. I'm talking about actually.
Let her finish. Let her finish.
Scott Jennings is like, let her finish.
Got a law degree.
Don't worry, we've got this.
Bachelors. Probably more education than all of y'all added up together on this.
I've got a master's. I got a law degree, more education than all y'all.
Table, right? And I have always been the least paid person on payroll at every institution I have worked in, and it's not
even
because
in the White House.
Even in the White House.
Well, whose fault is that? I don't think you worked for George W. or Trump.
Well, guess what happened when I was there? DEI. Scott,
look.
I do not.
She just made my point for me, so I'm just gonna let that one hang out there.
No, Eric, not gonna lie, I laughed at all y'all.
She brings so much to the conversation. She should be getting paid more, right?
I do love the you were even in the White House? Yeah, well, that wasn't it wasn't the Republican administration.
Right. So you got paid less under the administration that you're saying takes care of people like you. Make it make sense.
I think
Scott's just been on fire for about the past 7 months, though. I mean, it's sad we didn't have his response there.
Yeah, I know they cut it off on the clip because they were more interested in letting her cook.
Letting her cook.
Yeah, I'll find more materials. But
I mean, what I really want to play, but we can't, is the Ultimate Big Balls video that we played a few nights ago. So go check out. Alex Jones did an Ultimate Big Balls music video with AC/DC's Big Balls playing in the background, just showing all the clips of all of the appointees and everybody just not giving a crap. It's great. But we could talk about the tax relief real quick.
Oh yeah, I think
Caroline Leavitt came out and outlined some of Trump's tax plan, and I've got that scene real quick. Let me clean up. So she came out and was kind of breaking it down. We've got.
So these are the tax priorities.
That volume is coming through the wrong place.
That the president has laid out for members in that meeting today. No tax on tips, which is obviously a very public campaign promise that the president made. No tax on seniors' Social Security. No tax on overtime pay. Renewing President Trump's 2017 middle-class tax cuts.
All right, so that's about half of them. Let's go through them. So no tax on tips. Obviously, Trump has been promising that for, 1 year of the 2-year campaign.
And then Kamala ripped it off.
Now, the question is, are super chats tips?
If Trump passes the law, I'd say yes.
Well, it's whether the IRS and accountants will say yes, but no tax on Social Security for seniors, which kind of makes sense. I mean, you already paid into Social Security your whole life. Why would it be taxed when you've already been taxed the whole time? No tax on overtime. that will end up saving U.S. taxpayers somewhere between 250 million and 1 billion. And then renewing the Trump tax cuts, which we have been operating under. All good stuff. And then a few others that are just a little bit more targeted, and I think a little bit more fun.
Yep.
Again, these are the president's priorities. Adjusting the SALT cap, eliminate all the special tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners.
So pause it real quick.
Close the carried interest.
So the SALT cap is going to be the big thing on how this deal actually gets made.
Hang up.
So for people playing the game at home, the Republican majority in the House, where all taxation legislation has to originate, is 1 seat after Trump's appointments. So that means that Trump has very little room to work within the House. Lots of the people in the House who are Republican come from New York and California, or at least enough to matter. The people from New York and California want the SALT deduction cap removed, as in like no cap on it, because that's the way it used to be. But in the Trump tax
right now
cuts,
it's capped at what, 15?
I believe 10, 15, anywhere right around 10 to 15. So the compromise, getting the compromise on that is going to be where this tax agenda kind of starts or fails, because they're going to have to give. That's why Trump came right out and said, we're adjusting the SALT cap in this bullet point list, because there's a lot of people like the Chip Roys and Freedom Caucus of the world who are like absolutely insistent that SALT be not allowed to be deducted, which is not going to make the deal happen. In effect, it would torpedo the deal completely and keep any tax, and then Trump's tax cuts would go away. So the realistic thing is going to be, it's going to be increased. Is how much is it going to be increased? Is it going to become a $25,000 cap, a $30,000 cap? And before you guys think that sounds like an awful lot of money, in New York and California especially, the property taxes are so high that an average middle class person with a home is paying $20,000 to $30,000 in property taxes a year. It's just how, so this isn't some tax that's going to necessarily be just for really high earners in those states. So I don't.
It's going to cut for the middle class too.
And this is a thing that we've been, I think, one of the themes of the bullpen since we started it is be realistic about what you can actually get. Don't try to like principles your way out of actually getting something done. So,
and don't rapidly reflex to things that are being said. Look at where it's going to end up.
Yeah.
And because that's what the Democrats are doing. They knee jerk on every single thing he says. When we all know how Trump starts a negotiation, he asks for 150% of what he wants, so that he probably gets 80 or 90% of what he wants. But he always overshoots with his first statement.
Yeah, it's called, if you read
like the Gaza thing, we'll see where that ends up. But that's,
well, the funny thing with Gaza is, did you notice Egypt and Jordan this past week announced they were going to come in there and pay to rebuild things?
Right.
Which is, Trump is probably like, oh, what do you know? I get what I want without actually doing it. He's Brer Rabbiting these people. Oh no, don't throw me in that briar patch. Oh,
exactly.
He's like, oh no, I wanted Gaza for the American people to be the Riviera of the Middle East. All right, fine. You twisted my arm. I guess Egypt and Jordan can pay for it.
Go ahead. You guys spend your money. Make it the Riviera. Netanyahu was playing in with that too. He was like, yeah, I mean, we can have casinos and golf courses. We'll make it beautiful. So the other one that she announced was more strict taxes on billionaire sports team owners. I'm pretty sure that one's just because Trump still hates the NFL ownership, because they did not allow him to be an NFL owner back in the day.
Yeah, in the 1980s. That's why he ended up starting the USFL.
Yeah. And that's also when I think it was at that time that he made a promise that, well, one day I'll be president and then we'll see what happens.
Yep. the funny thing is, the NFL is able to get away with a lot of things because they are the one sports organization that actually has an antitrust loop like exemption. Even so they're allowed to operate in ways that get them benefits that other places don't, and that's what Trump's talking. Because of that, because they're monopolistic, they can manipulate their books enough to get some stuff. That and carried interest has been a thing that I know that, and this is funny, the Democrats have been talking about it for 30 years, trying to get rid of carried interest.
Well, that one's coming up.
Yeah. And Trump is on board with it. Carried interest is what allows hedge fund people to basically never pay taxes because they carry their interest
they're going
over.
to carry it over and actually apply it. Yeah.
This is how Warren Buffett is like every time you hear when people are like, Warren Buffett's in favor of a higher income tax rate because he doesn't pay income taxes. When he goes on TV and is like, my income tax rate is lower than my secretary. Yeah, because you pay your secretary.
You never liquidate anything, so it's never actual income.
Correct. Like Warren Buffett's secretary, I think they published it one time, makes a salary of like $275,000 a year. Warren Buffett pays himself a salary of like $50 a week because he makes all his money on the stock and the interest on unrealized. It's all unrealized. So when when he's like, my secretary pays a higher, because you don't pay yourself real income. If Warren Buffett had to pay himself real income and be taxed on it the way anyone else would, he'd be paying like Elon Musk when he was like, I paid like $2 billion in income taxes.
I wrote out a check for this much.
Because Elon Musk had to liquidate things to be able to, buy X and do other stuff. So he made a lot of quote unquote income. So it's stupid. It's why the Democrats always, I think it came up in the 20s.
They were trying to go after the unrealized gains and trying to tax those, which is absolutely asinine because unrealized gains are not realized. That's kind of the point. If the stock market takes a dive, those gains disappear. So then you've been taxed on something that doesn't exist.
A good example of this would have been for the average American, in theory, in 2006, after your home value inflated because of all the stuff that was going on, you would have had to pay taxes that year on the equity of your home.
Current year, the equity on everybody's home is up, 30 or 40% if you're a homeowner compared to about 2016. So,
but
everybody's house is, the market value is almost doubled. So you've got extra equity in there. But if you don't ever sell the house, that money doesn't exist in your pocket ever. So why should you be taxed on? Because we could have a market crash of the housing market again next year, and you don't have that money, but you've already been taxed on it. Make it make sense, Democrats.
Yep, and that's the thing. Like unrealized gains. Like, what if the company like Enron looked like the greatest energy company in the world, and its stock was all up? Like if you were an Enron employee and you got paid in stock options, which a lot of them did, even the lower level ones were getting bonuses in stock because it looked so good. When Enron went under, the average employee's pensions disappeared, their stock went to zero and had no value. Under the unrealized gain theory, they would have been paying taxes on all of that money that never got to them. And then the next year they would have it $0. And under the unrealized thing, do you think they would get a write-off and refund for the taxes they paid? Nope. Wasn't allowed. Just sorry. Guess you don't get that money.
We'll let Hot Carolyn Levitt
Special
finish.
Tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners, close the carried interest tax deduction loophole, tax cuts for Made in America products. This will be the largest tax cut in history for middle-class working Americans. The president is committed to working with Congress to get this done. So
yeah, that's what we've got working as far as the new tax code. So good to see that they're jumping right into that one. I mean, that'll at least make all of the typical Republicans happy because tax cuts. That's what Republicans do. I mean, it's good for us, but I mean, I'm more excited about the social things that he's doing and just the cleaning up of the government than just another tax thing from the Republicans. So, but it'll make your typical Republican who doesn't pay attention to everything the way that we do, happy, I guess. So,
I think it's a good start. They're going to do it through reconciliation. That's going to be how they do it. The question is, technically, they're going to have possibly 2 shots at reconciliation this year. We've talked about it before. They've still got the current fiscal year, which doesn't have an official budget. They've only been doing continuing resolutions. So they've still got the 2025 fiscal year budget that they can do. And then come September, October, they'll have the 2026 fiscal year budget where they can do reconciliation for that one. And by the reason reconciliation is important because years and years back, the Senate passed rules that for budget bills, because they didn't want to risk government shutdowns. And
was that also under Harry Reid?
No, reconciliation goes back to the 80s.
A little bit earlier.
Yeah, actually, I think it was Bob Dole and some guys in the 80s that worked it out. Bob Dole was he was also very early on board with Trump in 2016. So Bob Dole's a good guy.
Not a good candidate for president. But
he was a good candidate. He just, America.
He was too boring to win at that time.
Yeah, it'd
be like Mike Pence running. Except Mike Pence has other issues now. But just if Mike Pence just came off the bench and was running and we didn't have any history with him, it'd be the same thing. They're just boring guys.
Yeah.
So what else we got?
I'm looking up to see if more stuff that, there's always, every time we're on a show on a Sunday, there's something breaking. We got Karen Bass trying to pay somebody $500,000 for 3 months work to oversee
as an interim fire chief type thing. Yeah.
To be the emergency manager.
Right.
But apparently that got shamed out. Like it got made public. People on X started spreading it around, and then the guy felt so much shame. He was like, well, I would do it for free. So he's going to allegedly, not take the salary. So I don't know. It's the long-term thing for the LA. I'm interested to see when we do the emergency spending for them, if what kind of federal special master, because I guarantee that's got to be part of the package, is going to be appointed to do that. If it's going to be named in the legislation or it's going to be an appointment from the president.
Well, and we can also show the ad that we'll see in the Super Bowl today. If you're watching the Super Bowl, I know Eric Myers and Josh Hammond will appreciate. I think they've already seen it a few times, but we do have the Carl's Jr. ad showing just how much America is healing. We're going back to maybe too far back to Carl's Jr., but yeah, it's at least a reversal of all the crap we've been seeing going on. So we can play that real quick.
This, by the way, goes back to the Brahma lore of really, really being a big fan of a couple things.
Let's be real. Everyone's going to be a hot mess after the big game. Been there. Done that. And I've got just what you need to cure that post-party bug. The Carl's Jr. Hangover Burger. Egg, double bacon.
By the way, this is the best take.
You need that double bacon.
So
Charbroiled beef,
this is how
hash
good her
browns,
acting
cheese,
is.
and sauce.
Right.
Just the way I like it. And guess what? It's free the day after the big game.
I don't think we actually saw her take a bite.
And sign up for my rewards. So get your free Hangover Burger on Monday, February 10th.
That's probably where it is still a little bit woke. She's probably a vegan. She doesn't actually eat any burgers.
Man, I'm still.
But that is historically part of the Carl's Jr. ad campaign. Is, the chick taking a bite and it's all sloppy. Actually, the cut that you did on Friday, I think there was a bite.
Maybe that was the longer one.
Because remember, that's how the guy wakes up. The sauce goes all over his face.
Eric Myers, Kate Upton was better. Kate Upton was more blessed than this woman. And so, yes, it was better.
And tomorrow I am getting my breakfast burger.
What was that stupid thing that Kate Upton did where she did like a cat dance and it went super viral, like way back in the Jaffo in Virginia? It's called Hardee's. It's the Carl's Jr. and Hardee's are the same company. So if you go to a Hardee's, it should have the equivalent.
I think. I know that Hardee's and Carl's Jr. are the same, but I don't know if they run the same campaigns.
I'm pretty sure they do.
We can also talk about Chuck Schumer. I mean, we may have touched on it last week, but Chuck Schumer pulling out an avocado and a Corona and throwing a fit about possible tariffs because on Super Bowl Sunday, you may not be able to get your beer or have your guac because people care about that so much. We've got plenty of other beers other than Corona in America.
I mean, Schumer, I mean, just I think
out of touch.
I'm pretty sure that there's some. I don't know whether it's Budweiser or whichever. I'm sure there's a bottling place for one of the domestic beers in New York. Some domestic beer is brewed and bottled, and in fact, not even counting microbrews or small or independent breweries.
Yeah,
point being,
tons of it.
Chuck Schumer basically just crapped all on American business because guess what? California grows a lot of avocados too. You can get American grown avocados. You can get American brewed beer. I mean, most people generally buy American brewed beer. I know that Corona is popular, but still, it's funny because
it just goes back to him with the burgers on the grill they were completely raw and he already had cheese on them. And I don't think the grill was even on. The guy's not in touch with anything. He saw it as a political point to score on tariffs. And it's like, yeah, you don't know what any of us actually do on a day-to-day basis, do you? I mean, you don't know what an actual Super Bowl party would look like that isn't catered. I mean, no, there are other options other than Corona.
Hello, fellow grillers.
Yeah. And that's still one of the worst things I've ever seen in history as far as trying to fit in with normal everyday people. Burgers completely raw with cheese already on them. It's like when Pocahontas was like, I think I'm going to have a beer. Do you want a beer? I'd like a beer. Let me open this beer and take a sip. I've never had beer before.
My tribe, no like 'em fire water.
I have plenty of fire water.
I know. Got a super chat came in.
Yep. $5 from Jeremiah Hembry. Do you think the Trump tax cuts, will they extend it or be passed into law? They'll be extended.
Yeah, I guarantee you that they're going to extend at least. There's going to be some adjustments to maybe some, like I said, the salt caps and some of those other things. But generally speaking, the rates that people who are average working class are paying are going to stay the same, possibly even get lower. Because if you get the no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security earnings for elderly, I'm sure your parents are excited about that possibility. Because
I don't pay attention to their finances.
I know that Mad does.
Mad does.
Mad's like, adopt me. I can be.
He wants to go live in the apartment above the extra garage.
But yeah, so
I would like to see him adjust the brackets based on how much inflation has impacted us over the past few years, because our dollars aren't worth near as much, and the brackets are staying the same or close to it. So a lot of us were, I mean, most of the country was living paycheck to paycheck. And then once the tax bill gets there, it's like, well, nothing else got adjusted, but you're still looking at my income like it actually counted the same amount. It didn't count that much because everything got inflated. So I know we're not going to be able to do anything about it right now, but I'm hoping that they'll be able to get something fixed in there going forward.
Yeah, I think I could see some tweaking around the edges with rates, but the main thing is it's going to be very tight because they're going to have to play the SALT game, and that's going to, you can't, the way reconciliation works is technically it has to be revenue neutral or revenue generating for the way, and that's going to be based on the Congressional Budget Office's score of the bill. And if you're already increasing the SALT deduction and doing those other things, you're going to have less room for the rates. Now, on the other hand, eliminating carried interest is going to bring a lot of revenue, the way they call it, because it's not revenue, taxation is theft. But anyway, quote unquote revenue to the Treasury. So if you eliminate carried interest, that will hopefully give you enough room to cover the tips thing, because honestly, a lot of people were underreporting their tips anyway. So I don't think it's going to be, in real world terms, a big deal.
I mean, people always underreported their cash tips, but there's been so much less usage of cash that I'm betting most people were getting pretty accurately taxed on a lot of their tips anyway, because if it was left on a credit card, that automatically kind of gets figured in because there's an actual trail.
Yeah, it actually, my understanding, because I haven't worked in a place that it actually gets added to your paycheck and gets taxed as income right off your paycheck.
When it's done through a credit card?
When it's done through a credit card, it actually collects it digitally and goes into the payroll system.
Yeah, when I worked as a busser way back in the day, and everything was in cash, so you were supposed to declare 100% of it. I don't know that anybody ever did or does. So don't know. I think it's probably, so it probably will affect them quite a bit, because if they have been fully taxed because it's been mostly credit cards, that's going to be more money back in the pockets.
True. I mean, I think it was a good thing to campaign on. I don't think I think people who are, when you're paid on tips, generally you're getting a lower wage.
Depending on what state you're in.
Depending on what state. I will tell you this, if I'm in a state where I know that they get paid like 18 or whatever crazy dollars per hour, I don't tip.
Right.
I'm sorry.
California, $25 an hour or whatever. Seattle.
It's
like, no, you're making a better wage than far better wage than you deserve to, likely. So yeah, there's no reason to be tipping if they've adjusted the minimum wage, because before it was like you made $2.13 an hour and your money actually came from tips. If you're now making the $20, $25 an hour, you're no different than working in any fast food place. It's just you happen to be in a sit-down restaurant.
Exactly. And no offense to the servers who get sometimes butt hurt about not getting a tip, but the social compact of tipping for servers came from the fact that we knew you got paid shit per hour, so you're making your money by tips,
right?
And so your incentive was to give good service, to get good tip. And I would put, my minimum tip used to be 20%, and I would go up from there when I was out somewhere, with a server. If I'm in a place now where I know they're making that minimum wage, no, sorry, it's gone. And I'm sorry, all these places where you get asked to be tipped, every single place you check out, no tip, tip, no tip. Like if I'm doing carry out at Domino's, what the F am I tipping for?
Exactly.
You didn't drive that pizza to my house. You didn't do any of that. No, I drove out. I picked up this pizza, no tip. Like when I'm at Chipotle and I get a burrito, and at the end it was like, do you want a tip? I was like, I'm sorry, is that
you just did your job? Why would I tip for that?
Did you wipe down my table? Did you bring it to me? Did you make sure that I got a refill on my on my drink, and so it didn't run out. No tip.
And then you ask us to clean up the table afterwards.
Exactly. You don't even
bus.
You don't even bust that. So, I do want to say, did you see the stuff where Elon's been tweeting that he wants Ron Paul to go in and be the guy who's auditing the Fed with DOGE?
I mean, it makes sense. Rand has been doing the report for years on all the wasteful spending. So
Ron's
bring in Ron.
Ron is the granddaddy of that. He's the he's the one who invented. Is like, you merely adopted auditing the Fed.
I was born
into it. Oh, it is interesting. Davina's asking, I wonder if tipping will end in America. And if they keep going the way that they're going with the minimum wage, which I completely disagree with either way, probably, because we're not getting better service out of anybody. Service since COVID has just gone completely down. I haven't had a good experience in a restaurant in years now. And it makes me wonder, why would I tip? Because just because they expect it at this point doesn't mean you have to. Tipping was always optional. So, if, like we were saying, if the minimum wage goes to the point where all, restaurant workers are getting the full minimum wage instead of a partial minimum wage, and tips making up the difference, then yeah, I would say tipping will end in America. And then there's Davina also saying the robot servers will come. Yeah, and if they keep going this direction where they're trying to make living wages out of people doing jobs that most of the time it's teenagers and college students doing, or somebody doing it as a side job, then yeah, you're going to see the industry have to change, because that's not supportable. Bush says he tips delivery guys cash. I've stopped getting delivery for the most part. I do tip when I do get it, but the fact that a pizza company now charges you like a $3.99 fee for delivery just off the bat, then they charge you, then they ask for the tip on top of that for the employee, and they try to effing guilt you, like, please be
this does not go to the
driver.
It's like, okay, why is it being charged then? Because it does nothing different for you.
The other thing is, delivery takes like an hour and a half longer than if you just go pick it up from the pizza place, because a lot of people don't realize that your pizza might be done for like 20-30 minutes before they bundle it with the full deliveries that make it worthwhile for the guy to go out.
They sit there under the heat lamp until there's enough deliveries that are grouped together to take it, because typically it's not efficient to take one order out at a time.
Yep. So I'm a big fan of just doing the carry out. You got plenty of choices now. You got Little Caesars doing their hot and ready. Just go and grab it. You got Domino's has carry out specials for like $7, which is cheaper than a DiGiorno that you'll buy at a grocery store now. I can't believe that, like, frozen pizzas in the grocery store are now costing more than delivery pizzas. If you carry
a frozen Totino's pizza is like $2 now, when it used to be like 75 cents.
I mean, no one talks about Taco Bell, right? You remember when I think, Brahma, we're around the same age. You remember you used to be able to get like
12-pack of tacos for like
$5,
$6 or
$6. Yeah, and you were just like, and
now it's almost $20 for a 10-pack.
It's ridiculous.
They've actually made it to where it's almost as expensive to get fast food as it is to go to a sit-down restaurant at this point. The only real difference is the tip. Because I can go get a much better made meal and better ingredients from just a regular restaurant for about the same price as it costs to feed my family at Chick-fil-A.
Yep. Chick-fil-A is, like, I know Taco Bell brought back their 90s Lux box, and it had a Gordita Supreme, which in the 90s was my wife's favorite Taco Bell thing to get. And they had discontinued it. So she was super excited that it was coming back. And I was like, all right, well, we'll try it once. Number one, it was like $7 for that Lux box. And I was like, when did Taco Bell become expensive? It used to be the cheap one.
Yeah.
And number two, the Gordita Supreme wasn't even that good because they changed, I guess, whatever the little outer layer soft thing was, soft pita type bread that they wrapped around it. So she wasn't even that happy with it. I was like, I'm glad we invested.
Yeah, luckily I don't ever have to do Taco Bell anymore because I've never been a huge fan of it. But the wife liked the enchiritos, and they don't offer those anymore. So don't have to do Taco Bell ever again.
As much as I hate their position on DEI, the only place holding the line is Costco on their dog and soda combo at $1.50.
Well, and their rotisserie chickens.
Yeah.
I was in there yesterday, and it's like you can get a fully cooked rotisserie chicken for the typical $5.99 that they've been charging forever, or you can go buy a frozen chicken for $17. It's like, and then they've also got the packaged where the rotisserie chickens that didn't sell within like the 30 minutes or an hour that they keep them up there on the heater. Mm-hmm. They tear them up and, just have the shredded chicken in a bag type thing. And that's $14.99 at this point. So a chicken, any other way that they sell it is $16. But if you buy it off of the rotisserie, it's $5.99 still. So those price freezes that they've done with their food court are still hilarious at times.
Yep.
But Costco has gotten a little bit in trouble because they are refusing to go along with getting rid of DEI and their hiring practices.
Yeah, I mean,
they're still celebrating it and saying that it's absolutely necessary. So sooner or later, people will start catching wind of that, and maybe Sam's Club will have a bump in their memberships. Who knows?
Or BJ's, if you've got those.
Depends on what you got around. Yeah.
Yep. Because those are the choices. I mean, the food bulk stores after inflation, bulk store was like the main thing. I buy in bulk, cut, disseminate into smaller packages, freeze, and then use, because that was one of the few cost-effective ways to try to still get good food.
Yeah.
And even that started getting like the steaks at the steak pack at Costco went from like the upper 30s to all of a sudden it was like 50, and now it's like 60, 70. It's like, oh
yeah, Costco's, for me, it's never been a great deal on their steaks or beef products. Usually the pork is pretty well priced, and so is like just ground beef, but their steaks, I can always find a better deal at a regular grocery store when they're running a weekly deal.
Yeah. I just liked them because they were actually pretty big steaks compared to what you get usually from a grocery store.
Yeah. Well, and I think, is it Costco or Sam's that does Prime instead of just Choice? I know Sam's does it. I can't remember if Costco does it on their steaks. The USDA know. Choice versus Prime.
I think Costco is Choice. So
okay. But my favorite thing to do is right around New Year's and Christmas. Most of the grocery stores will put on the prime rib, the full rib roast, like the full length, all the bones, at like $4.97 a pound. I just buy 2 or 3 of those, cut them up, and freeze them for the year, and then just have prime ribs or prime rib steaks throughout the year, because you can't get that meat for that price any other time.
Nice.
But we've gone way off course, and it's just about time to wrap up. So, what do you got going on this week?
This week, just the Ascend Our podcast, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what our deal with Tuesday is now, whether it's a Mad night or a gaming
I think it
night.
Is.
So whichever
if
of
Mad's
those
not doing something, we will be gaming. We'll just kind of keep the night used one way or another.
And I believe this week we should be getting the Tulsi and RFK votes.
So, yep, and Cash, they
Cash
put
got
it
delayed
out for 10 days, I think.
Yep. So I don't know which, but those are those votes will be probably dissecting what happened, if anything, or what their first days in office were like next Sunday.
Hopefully.
Before the holiday.
And then as far as the as far as the pop culture entertainment side of it for Sen and Art, I mean, during the Super Bowl, we're going to have the Superman trailer, the Fantastic Four trailer, and the new Jurassic Park
Rebirth.
or Jurassic World trailer. So
yeah, because
sure we'll have plenty to talk about on that throughout the week.
This time in Jurassic World, we got Scarlett Johansson to be the ex-military person who's taking people to the island, because that makes sense.
Yeah, because that, it's an upgrade from Chris Pratt being the military guy, but whatever. We'll see what it looks like, I guess. I'm pretty much done with Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. When they had gigantic bugs in the last one, it was like, okay, whatever.
Oh yeah, Eric Myers is right. I think I am looking forward to the Aflac Dunkin' commercial, because he puts way more effort into his Dunkin' Donuts commercials than he has any movie since The Town. So
nice. As far as what I've got going on, I don't know if there's a Culture Casino stream tonight or not. I'm figuring with the Super Bowl going on, he's probably going to do something as counter programming, but we've got, the grandbaby and some company coming over. I don't care about the game, but my wife likes hosting, so I guess we're going to have it on. So not sure about tonight. Tomorrow I'll be on comics. Tuesday we'll figure it out between me and Mad. Wednesday I will be on the midweek hump on the Shagsworths channel. Thursday back on comics, and then a Sen and Art with the boys on Friday. So if you're not subbed to a Sen and Art, please go do that, and the Sen and Arcade, because we got the watch hours over there. We just don't have the subs, and subs don't cost anything, so it would be very helpful to the boys to get them up to that 500 subs.
That would be wonderful.
And I'd like to thank everybody who donated today. We had a few super chats, a few memberships passed out, so thank you all for those donations. And yeah, who do you think is going to win today?
I hate the Eagles so much that I've got to believe that the fix is in for the Chiefs anyway, so Chiefs.
Speaking of the fix being in for the Chiefs, this is apparently they're already warming up for the game.
Are they? Oh, yeah. The refs.
We should do that. Yeah.
Practice
Kansas
throwing
City
those
Chiefs
flags.
Getting all warmed up for the game.
Practice throwing those flags. It's like roughing the passer. On the plus side, Brahma, the hate racism stuff is gone.
End racism, yeah.
Yeah, they're removing that. So the NFL,
I'm sure we'll figure out how to get some racism into the halftime show.
Nature is healing, Brahma.
Nature is healing. Carl's Jr. has hot chicks again. So hope everybody has a great day. If you're going to watch the Super Bowl, hope you enjoy it. And we will see you throughout the week. Later, everybody.
Later.